Hi, this is Graham Allen coming to you from North London in the UK, and just going to be going through a whole bunch of vinyl that I've managed to pick up really in the last 6 weeks. I'm going to go through pretty quickly because there is quite a lot of it. Some of it is quite unusual, some rarities, so I'll just crack on with it. So first up is Kansas, Two for the Show. This is a double live album from 1978. I actually got this off eBay. It was hard to get. I've been looking for it for a long time. So this is American progressive rock. Canvas had Steve Walsh on this as lead singer. Very well-known track is Carry On Wayward Son, which is really terrific. There's also a very kind of unusual track called Closet Chronicles, which I've been reading about. It's my favorite track on this album, and it's actually about Howard Hughes and his kind of retreat towards the end of his life. Very powerful lyrics, put to a very adventurous progressive rock style track, lots of Moog, time changes, that kind of thing. Kansas are a great band. This is my favorite. I really like Steve Walsh's vocals. This, you can see, is actually a promo copy. So it would have been back in the day sent out to radio stations to promote the album. They'd have played tracks. And in fact, it's quite nice having this label which kind of tells the the radio station which tracks will probably be radio friendly to play. So the shorter tracks, for instance, are kind of ticked with a couple of notes to play. So it's great to have that. Really, just nice little curiosity to have that. It's a little bit beat up, the cover-wise, but I've never ever actually seen this in any record stores. Been looking for it for a long time. It's a gatefold, double live. The one thing that was a little bit disappointing for me was that the inner sleeves don't have the original picture inner sleeves, which had lots of shots of the band live. These are just kind of plastic inserts because presumably with the promo copy would have gone out early, and for various reasons sometimes they don't have the full packaging. So that's Kansas, Two for the Show, double live. Okay, picked this up yesterday. I have a favorite store in Camden that has a bargain bin, and it was great to pick this up. This is Camel from 1979, I Can See Your House From Here. Pretty well-known album for any Camel fans. The band was changing slightly, becoming a little bit more commercial. But this has still got a lot of typical kind of prog rock on, and has got some beautiful kind of fluid Andy Latimer guitar on it. The band had changed a bit. They often had different members coming in and out in the late 70s. And the lineup for this is Andrew Latimer on guitar, Andy Ward on drums. Good to have him around after he had a few health problems in the late 70s. Jan Shelhaas on keyboards, who was a kind of a session player. Kit Watkins was quite well known. He came in for this. And then Colin Bass on bass guitar, who stayed with the band he's still with the band now, actually, when they play live. So this is a great album. There's some interesting slight kind of crossover tracks that go towards 80s, almost electro pop prog. One called Remote Romance, and in fact it says on here that Andy Ward programmed a drum loop rather than playing the drums live. It's just kind of nice to hear, and I'm trying something different. But there's some great typical fluid Andy Latimer tracks as well. Ice, The Storm, Who We Are. Hymn to Her is probably the best known off this. But it's a great album. It's good to have the inner sleeve. Picture of the band there on the back, and of course this is on the Decca label, which is Camel's label, and picked that up for a very good price in Camden yesterday. I couldn't resist this. I've actually got this concert on DVD. This is Emerson, Lake and Palmer's only appearance at the Montreux Jazz Festival from '97. It's kind of late ELP, obviously '97. So kind of they'd lost a lot of their fire when they were kind of playing in the '90s, particularly late '90s. But it's a good gig. They were very good at Montreux. So this is actually called Live at Switzerland for the vinyl album, which is pretty hard to get. This was I think a Record Store Day 2018 or 19 release. So pretty hard to get hold of this. And I saw this amazingly. It was marked up as £28 down to £12, so I couldn't resist it. Just sort of a bit of a greatest hits package live. But some really good playing on this. They do a great version of Take a Pebble with a lovely jazzy intersection where they just play it as a jazz trio, but some lovely fast walking bass. Carl Palmer's very good at the up-tempo kind of jazz rhythm stuff. A medley of Tarkus and Pictures and Exhibition is very good. And of course the end with Fanfare for the Common Man with a drum solo. So this was really nice to get. Gatefold double live 1997, and in fact one of the reasons I wanted to pick this up is because I saw the band at Montmartre in Paris. I went over to see them. It was quite a small gig actually, and it was just before this was recorded, so I remember the set was almost identical to this recording. And it's just great to have a live version of pretty much the set that I saw them play in France, in Paris, in '97. Very unusual album here. This is Group 87. Found this for £8. The reason I picked it up, Group 87 were an '80s sort of jazz fusion, but electro kind of sounding band. They have Mark Isham, Patrick O'Hearn, who played in Missing Persons with Terry Bozzio, and a keyboard player I didn't know called Peter Morneau. This is kind of quite electric. It has some woodwind on it as well. It's not particularly fiery fusion. Kind of almost world music vibe to it. I mean, the main reason I picked this up was because Terry Bozzio plays drums on it. He's very restrained on it, but he's got the kit that he used on the last UK album. For those that will remember, he had a Rototom kit, so a very distinctive sounding kit. He's kind of restrained on it, but it's great to hear him in this kind of setting. Quite an adventurous album. I think they did a follow-up which kind of didn't really do much. I mean, this is very niche. It doesn't tick the kind of obvious jazz fusion, Billy Cobham, Stanley Clarke stuff at all. It's pretty laid back. It reminds me of a sort of cinematic film soundtrack, typical '80s from a sort of an art house film. But it's great to have this. It's on the Columbia label. I love the cover, kind of unusual cover. That's Group 87. As I said, often crops up as an album for Terry Bozzio fans if they can find it. This I picked up. This is David Sancious, who's kind of well known as a session keyboard player for people like Sting and Bruce Springsteen, I think. This was actually labeled up from the record shop as Fusion. It's called The Bridge. It's on the Electra Musician label. David Sancious had done some very good jazz rock albums before this with a lot of analog synth, mini Moog, things like electric piano, multitude of analog keyboards. So I was expecting a very fiery fusion album. And this is just really a piano album. There is a little bit of Moog and keyboards on side two, but it's beautiful, and it's basically a concept album around the San Francisco Bridge. So it has just this theme running through it. It's a wonderful album, much better than when I first put it on. I was disappointed because there's no drums on it, and there's not many electronic keyboards, so I was a little bit disappointed. But I've really got into it now. It's got a wonderful atmosphere to it. Um, David Sancious there on the back. And as I said, it sort of really just has a theme of the San Francisco Bridge running through it. There's a little write-up on the back by David Sancious. So this is on the Elektra label. Just great to have that. Sometimes it's nice to pick something up, and at first you think this isn't what I think it is, but then you get into it, and this is really terrific. Okay. I picked this up yesterday. This is Fiery Fusion. This is Gary Boyle, who was the guitarist from the UK jazz fusion band called Isotope. And this is his second solo album called The Dancer. I picked this up. It's on the Gull record label, which I'd never actually seen before. I really picked this up because I could tell from the people that were playing on this, it was going to be my kind of stuff. A young Simon Phillips is on this, so there's some really busy, big kit drumming. And there's some great mini Moog playing on here from Rod Argent, who appears. Robin Lumley from Brand X appears on this. People will know there was a real UK jazz fusion scene, mid to late 70s, where kind of members of people like Brand X and there was Phil Manzanera's 801, Gary Boyle, Rod Argent would appear on stuff with Phil Collins, and Maurice Pert, who was in Brand X, is on percussion on this. Robin Lumley on keyboards. So it was kind of a bit of a revolving door of those kind of people, and they always turn out something really good. Very of its time, it's 1977, but it's a great album. Really enjoyed this. And also there's a lovely fretless bass solo from a guy I'd never heard of called Steve Schoen, and he plays some fretless bass on this, which I love. So great album. Really pleased to pick this up cheap in the sort of bargain bins in Camden. Gary Boyle, The Dancer. Great cover as well. Okay. Also in the bargain bin in Camden, I was amazed to get this. I had this on CD. This is late 80s, I think it's 87. So one of the things about the late 80s, you often get this in between period where it's an early CD and vinyl was starting to disappear a bit. So you tend to either just get stuff on CD or you get stuff on vinyl, but it's kind of hard to get both sometimes, an early copy of both. So I got the greatest hits back in the day when it came out, but never got the vinyl, and amazed to get this for £3. It's John Wetton, 1972 to 1980. It's called King's Road. It's a really good compilation of his work. And it's a mixture of his King Crimson stuff. So it's got Book of Saturday on there from King Crimson, but then it goes through to his UK works and things like Nothing to Lose in the Dead of Night from 1977, 1979, the UK lineups. And then it ends up with tracks off Course in the Crossfire, which was his 1980 solo album. Pretty hard to kind of find that now. I've got a vinyl copy of it. So it was, at the time, it was kind of unusual to have some tracks from all those different bands on one vinyl album. The CD actually picks up a couple of rarities from a band he was in called Jackknife, which was a one-off sort of project, and that was the temptation for the CD to get the unreleased tracks. They don't actually appear on here, which is a bit of a shame, but that's because of the the running time of the album at 40 minutes. But this is great. In a sleeve, with some notes and the people that play on it, and just some pictures there, I think taken from King's Road, which John Wetton often sings in his lyrics about London landmarks. There's a couple of Asia tracks where he mentions, I think, pubs and things in London. So I think it's really just pictures from around King's Road, which is probably where he would hang out when he was in London. Great album. Okay, two double live. This was a record store day. Really pleased to pick this up locally in East Finchley. This is Weather Report live in Tokyo, June 1978 at Kosan-kin Hall. Not the best sound. It's actually an NHK radio FM broadcast. These things often get put out on vinyl these days, but it's a great set. It has Teen Town, A Remark You Made, Black Market, Birdland is really good. So it's Shorter, Zawinul, Jaco Pastorius, and Peter Erskine, fiery stuff. Four sides, and it's on the Alternative Fox label, which I don't know that. I presume it's a Japanese label. And just to say on this, what I really like, there is an official release from around this time, which is called 8:30, which is a double live weather report. And one of the things they did with Birdland, people will know, is that they made it swing. So they changed it into a shuffle groove. And I always actually preferred just the straight groove that from the album, Heavy Weather. And I think this is an earlier version of Birdland because they play it straight. They don't swing it. And I just prefer it. Jaco is really good on this, particularly on Teen Town and Birdland. So great to have that weather report live in Tokyo. Okay, last up, I got this off eBay. Is really pleased to get it. This is Emerson, Lake and Palmer live at Pocono International Raceway Stadium in the United States, July 1972. Absolutely on fire on this. I do have this on CD in the box set, the large box set that came out in 2017. But it's just great to have it on vinyl. It's colored vinyl. I'll show you the colored vinyl in a second. But this is 1972 when they were just absolutely at the top of their game. A lot of the stuff is taken at breakneck speed, as people will know during this period. But I think, that they're always just on the edge. I think of this train that's just about staying on the tracks. So things like Pictures and Exhibition, Hoedown is taken at a blistering speed. There's a long drum solo, which they play on Rondo, where Carl Palmer has got the Ludwig Octopus kit and is just flying around the kit at breakneck speed. Wonderful piano improvisations, and Tarkus is just astonishing on this. So great to have this. A couple of pictures there. These are actually from 1977. That's not taken from the Pocono Stadium. The thing that with this as well is we've got coloured vinyl. So kind of quite unusual. Probably can't really tell in the light there, but this is a kind of brown coloured vinyl. I haven't got anything else in brown vinyl. It's on the Manticore label, BMG Manticore. And the other, I think this is beautiful. This is this sort of lemon yellow, which is just wonderful. So that's a great album. Really been enjoying playing that, revisiting LP live. Okay, so hope everyone's well. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you soon.